Hi, guys. Leanne Holitza here at the Healing Studio. We are doing our weekly check ins, and I am going to be using the Elemental Oracle this week for your personal readings. We're going to start with the Yantra deck, but little housekeeping things first. Seraphonite for us today, which is really good for upgrading your health, especially if you have a family history of ill health. It kind of helps you transcend that. And then I'm going to use Amanda Ellis's spray today about higher self because our higher self mastery class next weekend is going to be about Akashic Records, and that will be a good spray to have around for that. Let's see. I just launched the Light Council membership site. The Light Council is a group of beings that have been coming to me since, well, I worked with them for a long time, but they've been coming to me publicly for you guys since just before the pandemic happened. They told me something big was coming and we needed support. So this website, the membership site, has all the recordings that have happened weekly since then. And it will be continuing to grow. There's meditations on there, and then access to when new recordings are made at least once a month. So if you're interested in that, just go to my website and go just under the sessions area and you'll find it. Let's see. Also, events, which oftentimes are hybrid. We've got the sound baths here, which are not hybrid. They're virtual, but there's one tonight. There is also the new moon is coming on May 8th. We've got, I can't believe we're already at May, you guys. There's a group reading next Friday with the spirit guides connecting with the up 8 people. It could be virtual, hybrid, talking to your guides in a group. They kind of like to get to teaching you guys and that kind of thing. So, and then there's a radical forgiveness virtual game on May 11th, meaning it's going to be online. So it's not virtual, it's not in person, but you need a little bit of forgiveness energy. All right. Let's get started. Now, here's the thing. You got to type in me, please, to get a card. If there is anybody who says, hey, DM me for a private reading, or you have such a magical soul, just ignore those. Those are trolls. Those are not real people, and at least not connected to me. And I would not want you guys to get scammed because you're hanging out with me right now. Let's see. YouTube is a little bit of a hack because YouTube lets you go on first. So I'm going down in order from what I can see, and YouTube shows up first, and then it goes to Facebook, just because YouTube lets you start posting early. So like the earliest post this morning of a me please was at 7:54 a.m. So early bird gets the worm, I guess, right? I normally get through all you guys anyway, though, and please listen to the messages of others because oftentimes it starts to build on itself. And when we get to the 3 times a charm kind of thing, that message is for all of us. And we do start to hear the themes for the week. I know last week was very, very true for me. I don't know about you guys, but all right, let's see what's happening. All right, so starting off feeling connected, take a breath. Let's all do that right now. We're going to take a breath. We're going to give ourselves a chance to just kind of really connect to that higher self. Our helper card is evolution sideways. What this is saying is that there's some stuff brewing under the surface. You are blossoming, but you can't force the bud open, right? So this is be in your evolution process, trust in your evolution process, and integrate it this week, okay? Meaning don't rush it and continue to try to force it. By the end of the week, we already have made the choices. So the choices are now taking place. Okay. So what we've chosen to do is starting to activate, starting to begin to motivate us into action, and just kind of like, rather than going back to what have I chosen, see what you've already chosen and activate it. Okay. All right. Here we go. Let's do, and so we're going to start off, and this is for those of you who are watching live, and if you're watching later, thank you. But for both of that, we are going to do a 1, 2, 3. This is the start of your personal reading. Okay. So go ahead and sink in to what might feel right. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. Okay. Give yourself a moment just to really resonate with what one is yours. Okay. Now, if you picked 1, you're going to be working on bushfires. Okay. So there's a kind of, like an indigenous wisdom in this card, a little bit about purification, like don't throw out the old wisdom for the new wisdom, and just kind of acknowledging that, great times of disruption are great times of growth. Okay. So if you picked 2, you got rain, okay? Which also says, um, well, fundity. Okay. So I need glasses for the little words. Okay. So what I'm hearing from the guides on this one is that it's a time to water the garden for you. Emotions, have real emotions, be real about them, be vulnerable with them, let them water your garden. Okay. So emotions are usually a helpful resource for us when we let them flow and we listen to them and we don't micromanage them or cause them to go deeper into ourselves. Okay. So this week, really let those emotions nourish you. If you picked two, you've got snow. Okay. Which just says silence. So this is very much about letting the thing simmer down. So if you think of that evolution card that we got, if you picked three, this week is a week to kind of meditate in quiet, really journal, get yourself deep into like, you know what it feels like if you guys have ever experienced like a nice deep powdery snow. It's kind of quiet, it's still, and that's going to be the energy that's going to take you the farthest this week. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to say hi to the bottom of the list, just so you guys know I see you and I'm coming. And I normally do get to everybody in the half an hour, but I see Andrea, Sherry, Kalina, Jasmina. You guys are all towards the bottom, but I'm coming, and listen to the other messages as well because they are important. Okay. So, all right, Heidi, you're going to focus this week on water. Okay. And creation, really letting yourself acknowledge again that emotional energy, that nourishing, regulated emotion. Okay. When you're allowing yourself to have the feels, but you're not necessarily forcing them to be anything but information that you can work with. Okay. So focusing on that emotional health this week. Gina, you're going to be working on the plants, okay, and growth. So you're going to be working on really acknowledging that there's like lots of layers to things and lots of layers of your own consciousness, and you can kind of see where are you playing, and are you playing where you want to play, or do you want to play in the deeper in the soil, do you want to play in the leaves, where, and just kind of know that you can use the metaphor of the plant to shift how you're experiencing your own consciousness. Okay. All right, Kimberly, for you this week, your focus is going to be on the South. Okay. So this is adventure. This is a time to acknowledge that bringing in the South is also the energy of the Archangel Michael, which is really good for protection, cutting cords, cutting old ties, being ready to go to the unknown. That was the big message last week too, was like, you can't possibly know yourself where you are going because you've never been that person. So that's what this is really saying. Go ahead and be curious and have fun with it. Okay, Nicole, your focus for this week is music, okay, and joy. Didn't you get the joy card last week? I hope that's working out for you. Um, so get that joy going on. Listen to the music. Listen to the music of the nature too. You know, now we've got the birds coming out in Colorado, and we've got, you know, the wind and all of those things that you can use to kind of guide you. Seth, you're going to be working on magnetism, okay? And noticing what you're attracting. What you put the most focus on is what you're building or funding in your life, okay? So if you're focusing on things that are really magical and joyful, you're funding that joy, okay? If you're focusing on things that aren't working, you're funding that, okay? So really just pay attention to what you're attracting to yourself this week. And Addison, if you picked two, it's doubling down. You guys watch out. This might be 3 times a charm, the rain card for you. Okay. So let your emotions really fund the creations you want, but also like notice if there's stuff that needs to get resolved that's still working out at playing a role in your unhappiness, and let it kind of flow out. Let it just get out of the way. And now, you know, because you can start to feel those emotions more authentically. Kara, you've got atoms, okay? So it says building. Now here's the thing. There's everything that we're doing impacts where we're going, okay? So when you're consciously saying to the universe, I want something to happen or I need something to change, it listens. Now, if you're constantly saying that though, and you're not letting the change occur, so think of the beginning of the week's cards, like, you know, settle into the evolution. It's happening. The choices have already been made by the end of the week, you know, just kind of noticing how everything plays a role in your life. All right. Cynthia. Okay. You're working on north. Okay. Expansion. So this is the energy of Archangel Uriel. So this is about really allowing yourself to kind of see things in a new light, give yourself a different direction, point yourself into that authentic self and say, I am, there's no other person to be but me, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing it unapologetically this week. Okay. Especially as we are doing our evolution. Courtney, oh, look at this cute card. You got hearth, comfort. Okay, so this week focusing on what makes you kind of like ooey gooey, puppies and babies. Like really just kind of give yourself the opportunity to get back to the innocence, back to the softness. There is so much we could be paying attention to, you guys, that's not necessarily happy. And it can really take us off track of our manifesting when we're paying attention to stuff that's not ours to pay attention to, and it's super negative. So pay attention to building happy thoughts. Elizabeth, you are working with the sun. Okay. So this is light, and this is very much talking about the sun is often reflecting ego and self and personality and who you are and what you let the light shine off of you to kind of change, how you let the light shine to help change the things around you. Okay. So this week, really focusing on who are you in this change that you're becoming? How are you letting yourself shine without having to say a word? You're just you. Okay. Catherine, you're going to work on mountains and clarity. Okay. So here you see she's sleeping. Now, this is big stuff. Okay. For you, this is the evolution is like lots of things are changing, but just because it's big doesn't mean it has to be hard. There's a lot of just wisdom in taking a moment, taking a pause before you conquer that next peak. So this week, it's like the choices have already been made. You're in the mountains. Anywhere you go is going to be a potential for peaks and valleys. Okay, so just kind of being in that wisdom. Cece, you got wind. Okay, so change is coming for you. All right, so this week this is about changing. I went for a hike with my oldest child last week, and it was so windy, and he was like, it's cleansing. So this is what you can think about the wind. It's changing, it's cleansing, it's blowing things out. Let it happen. Change can be uncomfortable, but it doesn't have to be. It can be a blessing too, because it means things are coming that you've been asking for. Tiff, you're going to work on joy too. Second time we've seen this. Little music, little full moon energy, a little bit of things coming to fruition, giving yourself an opportunity to just really enjoy life. And, we can conquer life all day long, but sometimes conquering isn't the energy we want. Sometimes we just want to flow. All right. So this week, Joe, you're going to be one to focusing on fire. Okay. So ignition. All right. So this card is very much about purification. It's about energizing, motivation, really getting yourself in a space where you're just fueling yourself from that inner kind of impulse of inspiration. Okay. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Kimberly, you're going to be working on the desert. Okay. Solitary energies. Okay. Being able to just really take a minute to reflect. Now, we got that card that was like the evolution's already happening, that kind of thing. So just kind of get by yourself when you need to, and just kind of pay attention to what does it feel like? When I'm in solitude, what's my stress level? And where do I want it to be versus where it is? Okay. So kind of focusing on that this week. Kelly, you got outer core stuff going on. Okay. So fluidity. So you're just kind of coming out of your shell, that those emotions are just kind of like flowing off of you. You're standing tall this week. You're evolving into that person that says, who I am on the inside is reflected on the outside the way I choose to reflect it. I'm willing to be vulnerable to those who have earned it, and I am willing to protect myself to those who have not. Okay. Matthew, you're working on inner core. Interesting little contrast there. Okay. Solid. I can't say the word. Solidity. This is about being kind of inside yourself, making peace with yourself, making peace with who you are. This does not have to be a week where you have to know what the world needs you to be. This is a week for you to find out what you need you to be. Okay. All right. Little yin and yang energy there. Okay, Diane, you're working on the north too. Okay. So expansion, adventure, you're protected. You've got energies to take new kind of new transitions, letting yourself get into a space where you are literally moving forward in kind of like your true purpose. Okay. So this week, focusing on what that looks like for you. Okay. Hannah, you got the desert too. Okay. So the second time we've seen this, so everybody pay attention, might be starting to come to 3 times the charm. So Hannah, take some time for yourself. Get your inner landscape understood a little bit more. Not what everybody else wants for you, not what you're driven to do with socially, but what are you driven to do self? Okay. So try to find as much alone time as you can this week. Lisa, you got speed. Okay. For you, movement. Get going. You have some momentum this week. Use it. Okay. Some of us get some bursts. Time is not what we interact with it as. This time is magic. And sometimes when our time is just working for us, it is time to go and you get so much accomplished. That's kind of the message for you this week. Okay. Tanya, you brought us 3 times the charm for the joy and music card. Okay. So I'm going to read the book because this is now for all of us, you guys. I want you to think about how this message lands for you. And Tanya, since this is your specific card, this is a major deal for you too. Okay. Use music to change your mood. Music raises your vibration. Create ways you can express yourself more fully. Move your body through dance. Allow your body to heal through movement. Surround yourself with music to heal. It can be the music of nature, natural soundscapes, or human-generated music. All right. So if we get it again, we'll keep coming and reading, but that's kind of the general message. Little joy in music this week, you guys. Patty, you are working on plants. Second time we've seen that one. Okay. So again, start paying attention, you guys. We start seeing these cards over and over. Now I'm hearing from this card today, the consciousness choice. Where are you playing? You see that the plants are growing on this animal. Okay. Now the plants are moving. There's a whole forest inside that guy. Look at, okay. So this is, where do you want to play? What part of the plants do you want to play in? Do you want to play in the soil? Do you want to play in the roots? Do you want to play in the leaves? The leaves reach for the light, the roots reach for the grounding and the nourishment. There's no wrong answer here, but it's a choice. Where am I playing this week? Okay. And also just talk to your plants in general and just see what they want to tell you. Janelle and Donnie. Janelle, you're working on the outer core too. Get out there and shed your, shyness. Just be in that fullness of yourself, really. And again, letting yourself be seen to those, especially who have earned it. And no apologies. Just be yourself. Okay. All right, Donnie. You're going to be working in the east this week, which is beginnings, okay? Rising sun. All right. So what is rising in your life right now? What choices have already been made that you can allow to come to fruition this week, okay? And just let them blossom, not by forcing them, but by watching and observing the beginnings, okay? Miranda, you got speed and movement too. Time is on your side. Get going. Second time we've seen that, you guys. Pay attention. All right. So this is a good week to get some momentum. Start off strong. Get your feet on the ground. Do it. All right. Melissa, you're bringing the north to us again. 3rd time's a charm for the north. Okay. So expansion for us. So I'm going to go ahead and read a little blurb since you brought it for all of us. But listen, be guided, but do your research. Focus and honesty is needed to overcome obstacles. You know your true north, and be brave about the next steps. We may have a number of purposes in life, not just a single one. It's time for true adventure. Okay. So give yourself some true adventure. Okay. Be facing into your truth of north. What is feeling right and true to you? Okay. Shannon, you're going to be working in the depths. Okay. So see that it's a lake. See how she's way down there under the castle. So go deep this week, especially with your emotions and the element of water. Go deep in how you're feeling. Go deep into what, you're truly asking for when you're having your experiences. Really focus on that this week and think of that evolutionary iceberg that's coming. Things are changing when you let yourself go deep. Okay. All right, Christy. Okay, Christy, you also got north. 4th time's the charm on that one. Okay, so you guys, this message is for all of us. All right, so a little bit more on this. There's always been a certain romanticism about going north on adventures. During the peak years of an age of exploration, the exploration of the North Pole became almost a public mania. Perhaps the greatest adventures of the ancient world and the most northernly were the Viking people, and the Viking means to go exploring. Okay, so this week, you guys go explore. Follow your true purpose. Be in your own North Star energy. Kira, water for you. Second time for that one, you guys. So this is about creation in inner world, peace, making peace with your emotions, letting your emotions regulate and calm this week. Okay, doing whatever you can to really listen but not react. Okay, Finn, you're working on your inner core like Matthew is. Okay, so making peace with yourself, making peace with it. Not always does it make sense who you are, right? Like sometimes we're kind of ironic. We are one thing and another thing that seem like they both should be true. And this card is basically saying make peace with that and really kind of go inward with yourself. Terry, your focus this week is going to be the mountain. Okay, so some clarity is coming. The iceberg thing that's happening, give yourself an opportunity to acknowledge that you don't have to work so hard to climb every peak. Sometimes you can just rest and listen to the mountains. And remember, there's peaks and valleys. Okay, Robin, you brought third time's a charm, outer core. Okay, you guys. So some of you are getting the inner core. That doesn't mean that you can't do both, but I'm going to read a little bit of this for all of us. Okay, so this week we're working on our outer core. Be fluid in your thinking. Holding on to old ideas in a rigid way is not beneficial for you. A nimble mind is healthy mind. It's never too late to admit you are wrong or to change your mind according to new information. Okay, so new information allowing you to be more truthful with yourself. Okay. Austin, you've got some wind coming. Okay, so change, letting it be clarifying. If we're being asked to let go of our old beliefs and face our true north, and that's what we're all getting, that's going to be a good time for you to not hold on too tight to what's already been chosen. Let the changes come. Okay, Jordan, you've got cleansing storms. Okay, so things are going to be a little bit, there's a little bit of conflict. There's a little bit of friction, and it's okay. You can let all that stuff really work in your favor if you don't resist. Okay. All right, Janice, you've got connections to the biome. Okay, so really being connected to how all of the earth is working together to keep itself healthy, to keep itself flowing. Really let yourself acknowledge that everything's connected and everything's a metaphor to how we're doing. Okay. All right, Crystal, atoms for you. Okay, so building and showing what are you building and what are you putting a bunch of focus on, and how can you shift that focus this week to really notice what ingredients you're putting in your thought pie. Okay, and notice that it all kind of revolves around each other, and maybe asking questions more about why that's happening. Alicia, I hear you're healing well. You got some pressure. So transformation. Okay. So in the pressure spot, that's just where there's a lot of like extra, like almost like not at the right spot yet. It's pushing you into the right direction. Don't resist it and you'll be okay. All right. A little bit of extra pressure this week. Stephanie, for you, third time's a charm for this one now. Water and creations. Okay. So everybody listen up because this is for everybody. Stephanie, flow it forward with grace and confidence. Be true to your emotions. Do not allow yourself to become stagnant in your ways. Creation is your birthright. Consider what's vital to your happiness and ensure that you seek it. Like I said, a lot of emotional flow for this requested this week. Let those emotions flow. Okay. Jasmina, told you I was coming. Just took me 24 minutes. All right, here we go. Alchemy, magic. Time for you to get into the magic of your life, to see things changing in unexpected ways. This week is going to be a nice week for you to explore in the magic, and don't ignore it. Don't chalk it up to coincidence. That's where we do ourselves a huge disservice. Okay, Kalina, what are you magnetizing to yourself? What are you attracting? Okay, super important to be paying attention to those thoughts and how you are creating from those thoughts, and just let your outer world show you what your inner world is doing, and see if you want to make some changes. Sherry, ooh, you got oceans and bravery. All right, so big things for you, okay? Big growth patterns. So let yourself really be aware that, and oceans, again, the element of water is really coming up, you guys. This is very important for you to, it's that whole fear feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah, that's what you're going to be doing this week. Okay. Andrea, you got snow. If you picked 3 at the beginning, you got it again. A little bit of silence for you this week, a little bit of downtime, a little bit of taking a moment to notice that stuff is on pause, and that's okay. Okay, choices are already coming to fruition, as we heard from the beginning. All right. Safari, Clara, you're getting south adventure. Okay, so give yourself the opportunity to really notice that you are ready to go into unplanned places, be protected in your pursuits. It's really fun to just go somewhere you've never been, even if it's 10 minutes away. Okay, Gina, you're going to work it with ice. Okay, and purity. All right, so little downtime, a little bit of waiting for a minute, a little bit of noticing where you've hardened off some emotions and maybe get them changing up a little bit. Okay, so notice you're just what feels like it's on ice. See if you want to warm it up. If you don't want to warm it up, be okay with the fact that you're a little bit stagnant at the moment. Okay. Sam, you're going to have some passion this week, okay? The whole soul is working for you this week. So give yourself an opportunity. Really use that inner eye, that inner truth to pay attention to what's coming and what's formulating and, see what happens. I'd love to hear too. You guys can always come back to these comments and say, look, this occurred last week. Especially, like when there's something big that you heard and then you're like, there it is. Linda, depth of the lake for you. Go deep with yourself. Go really into what you kind of harbor inside yourself that maybe you don't show to the world or you don't let the world know about. Okay. All right. Rob, everybody's learned your trick. So now you're not at the top of the list, huh? Third time's a charm for the atoms. All right. So we're going to read this together. All right. So what in the world are we doing with the atoms this week? It says everything is connected by the same building blocks of matter. You are electric and vibrating in motion. Being stagnant in your beliefs and growth is unnatural. Building and changing is natural. There is room for infinite variety. Yes, I'm very much hearing variance for this card. So variance to me is like, there's French vanilla, this kind of vanilla, this other kind of vanilla, like smoked vanilla. I don't know, whatever. There's all these different kinds of vanilla, right? It's all good and it's all different. And that's basically what this message is. It's like really embrace the difference and the subtleties of the differences. Natalie, for you this week, you've got dark matter. Okay. So mystery. Allow yourself now. See, she's got a butterfly in her mouth. So it's like, don't talk yet because you don't really know what's happening yet. Just let yourself be kind of curious of what change is occurring and notice that it is super magical and different. Okay. All right, you guys. Some of you have just joined. So let me just put back up here. If you want a card, you got to type me, please, in the comments. I have gotten to the whole list once again. You guys, I almost always do this. I know I talk really fast, so hopefully you're getting the messages. But I'm going to throw a card for my husband because he's normally listening. But if you're still hanging out, please put your little hand in the ring. Okay. All right. So third time's the charm for this one, magnetism. All right. So what are we magnetizing to ourselves, especially by our thoughts? I'm going to read it. Here we go. Know your values and needs so you are more aware of what your true attractions are. Do not run with the herd. Notice what or who you attract. Is this your intent? There is always a nemesis or opposite energy to any endeavor you might take. This should not bother you as it's a natural law. Okay? So being kind of okay with there's oppositions around you and there's things that don't necessarily resonate with who you are. And that's okay. You don't have to necessarily go there and say yes to everything. Something's healthy. No is a complete sentence kind of thing. You don't have to necessarily keep going with what is just given and given and given. All right. So if anybody else is hanging out, we've got about 45 seconds left, but you guys, this is where we are going to meet most Sundays if you want to. I do encourage you to, you're welcome. I do encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's the most surefire way of getting into the comments early. And it also has a little bell that will remind you coming. Of course, I, love that you guys come from all directions. Thank you for your support. And I hope that you find use in this. And if you definitely do, if you're interested, I will put in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, the links to some of this stuff that we're using, just in case you want to add it to your own toolbox. But otherwise, I will see you next week. Thanks, everyone.